Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dear participants, we would like to present our article on climate change in the Reserve Sunda Islands, the harsh region in the maritime continent of Indonesia. Three of us, myself, Mansur Maso, and on my right hand side, Mr. Fahrudin, and my left hand side, Mr. Mahrup. Our research was conducted in Lesser Sunda Islands. As you know that Indonesia consists of two main regions, the big islands called Java, Sumatra, Kalimantan, etc. And then we are in the south to the east, Bali, West Nusantara, and East Nusantara, and then Moluccas, uh, named Lesser Sunda Islands. This is the islands. And then the climate regime in the maritime region of Indonesia, we have three types, which is equator regime, sub-equator regime, and tropical regime. Climate regime in Indonesia, the three regions has different amount of rainfall per year. The moist winds from Asia heading to south resulted wet season, and then dry winds from Australia heading north resulted dry season. And this is the Indian dipole mode, Indian depression, also created El Nino and La Nina phenomenon in the region. Methodology of research as a descriptive research, we use data of annual rainfall and sea surface temperature, and then we have data span 30 years from 1990 to 2020. The data source is from the PG, etc. And then we do statistical analysis using linear regression to determine trend of the change, and the regression coefficient to quantify the average rate of the change, and then difference between the slopes indicate how significant was the change, and the standard error stratification to know when was the transition point of the change, and the test for binomial probability to know change if it is unusual or not. This is transition point is a time when the king has switched from previous condition to current condition. This is the point here. And then the regression based on the sea surface temperature data, and then we know climate has changed since 2005. So this is the when the change occurred here. And then we have two slopes before and after. I had mentioned earlier the change occurred in 2005, and then before we have a different slope here, 0.029, and then here we have a trend negative. This clearly indicated that if you see here, the slope is quite not very high slope compared to what happened after 2005. You could see that the slope is go sharply here. Two events dry in every 5 years. That's possibilities, dry or normal. That if probability is getting smaller and smaller, means that climate has shifted to unusual conditions. It depends on the probability, the P, calculated by this formula. This is to the area, and then we know the position of Indonesia is between this region here, and the study area is between 1114 east to 1030 east, and then 5 degrees south to 11 degrees south. In this square here area, call it tropical lesser Sunda. What we found that uh, a century of long-term trends of air temperature in Lesser Sunda Islands. It goes in this slope here. See the slopes 0.009, and then if you see the transition time for the air temperature change, also with the smooth slope here. Statistical tests indicated that air temperature has gradually changed at a constant rate of 0.01 degrees per annum, or about 1 degree centigrade in a century. See that if you see the slopes here, before the transition period, 1994, is 0.007, whereas it's almost 10 times after the turning point. So air temperature will change at a constant rate of 0.01 degrees per annum or 1 degree in a century. Sea surface temperature had sharply increased by 0.08 degrees centigrade per year since 2005. And then sea surface temperature had sharply increased by 0.1 degrees centigrade since 2005, or 1 degrees in a decade since 2005. Sea surface temperature on February, March, April was higher than annual rate. You see the annual average is here, while in February we got this high here, March even higher, and April getting smaller. Long-term trend of rainfall was negative, with deviation rate of 0.03 millimeter per year or 0.3 millimeter per decade, with transition period in 2004 and 2005. Rainfall had significantly changed since 2005. Before here and after, go down. It was go up here and then go down. Monthly rainfall, only January and February were classified as wet months. So, you see here, only January and February, while the rest are of either moist or dry months. And annual rainfall to the east from Bali, rainfall was getting lower and lower. From Bali, Lombok, Sumbawa, and it had been common, as usual, to occur 2 to 3 dry years in 5 years span in the period of 1990 to 2014. However, it was strong evidence that rainfall pattern has changed since a period of 2015-2019. If you look at the direction of wind, that when the wind from northwest and from west and from southwest, small change, small occurrence in from northeast, and we have wet event in the area. By contrast, if the wind direction is from here, from east, southeast, and south, and dry trade winds from Pacific, and then we have dry years in Lesser Sunda Island. So if we have wet on dry depends on the wind direction. Beside from the direction, also the speed, yeah, the speed of wind also influence the area, the climate in the area. Whether you see here, southeast trade wind was common and to the east, and which speed is faster. Also, wind frequency. The southeast trade wind was common to the east, was more frequent. And the last is the wind power rose in the Sunda Islands. To the east, the southeast trade wind is more powerful. As conclusion, we could say that climate in Lesser Sunda Islands, as seen it was indicated by first, sea surface temperature indicated by 0.8 degrees centigrade in a decade, and then annual rainfall decreased by 130.8 millimeter in a decade, and air temperature increased by zero point 0.1 degrees centigrade in a decade. Wind factor anomaly is more frequent, dominated by southeast trade winds which are dry in nature. The failure to properly address mitigation scenarios to the change of climate in Lesser Sunda Island would be a real threat for environment, biodiversity, community livelihood, as well as economic assets. Thank you very much for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi